Ooh, it's hot. If you're a Florida gardener, you know August. It's hot, it's humid, and for a lot of gardeners, I just think it's probably time to pack it up. Kick back, wait for the cooler months. But what if I told you August isn't just about surviving that heat? It's actually one of the most important months for setting up the best garden, your best garden yet. I'm here to tell you that with a good approach, August is actually a power month for Florida gardeners, no matter where you live in the state. I've gardened through many Florida summers and into the fall, and I've learned exactly what works and what doesn't to set you up for success in your fall garden. In this video, I'm giving you your complete August checklist for Florida. We're breaking down exactly what you should be doing and what you should be planting for all parts of the state. Let's kick things off with the essential tasks every Florida gardener should be doing in August, no matter which zone you're in. First up, let's focus on building our soil and getting our beds ready for fall planting. August is an ideal month to do this, but really, for me, this process starts back in June and July. At that time of the year, I like to plant something like sun hemp or pigeon pea that I can use as a chop and drop plant. I just let these plants grow up a few feet tall, cut them right at the soil level, which leaves their roots still in the soil. That's really good for soil health. And you can use all of that green plant material as biomass and add back into your garden. Add as much organic matter as possible this month. This will give our beds enough time to settle in, let some of those things start to break down, so that by the time we plant our seeds and transplants into the ground, they're going to be loving it. What I like to do on top of all of that green material, though, is pile it high with compost. Even if it's slightly unfinished, that's okay. We have a compost bed right now with a mix of finished and unfinished compost, mostly made up of chicken and rabbit bedding and poops, as well as our kitchen scraps. But if you don't have compost bins, you can just purchase compost from your local nursery or big box store. If you're close to the Tampa Bay area, one of the best places to get high quality compost is Whitwam's Organics. It is a little pricey, but it's top notch. So the next thing we need to be doing is heavily mulching. If you don't have 2 to 4 inches of mulch on your garden beds, you should be getting it down this month. Mulch is your garden's best friend in August. It acts like an insulation for your soil, keeping the roots cooler, locking in that precious moisture, and suppressing any weeds. These things are the best things that you can do to prepare our beds and your beds for fall. Now, if you have established plants that are still producing, things like cowpeas, sweet potatoes, okra, maybe some tropical greens, definitely continue to care for them as normal through August with regular watering and pest management. They're going to grow just fine for this month. But be mindful when watering in August. It's typically a pretty wet month for us here in Florida. It's also very warm. High temps, high humidity means more frequent watering. However, sometimes we will have downpours that allow us to skip watering days, but they're inconsistent. One week, we might have 5 straight days of rain, then go a 4 or 5 day stretch without it. Be mindful of this. I have definitely been guilty of thinking that Mother Nature's got my back. If she's going to water my plants, then I come out and find a severely wilted plant. You also need to stay on top of pest and disease management. August humidity and heat are prime conditions for lots of garden villains. So be vigilant. Inspect your plants regularly, especially the undersides of the leaves, for common August pests like spider mites, whiteflies, and aphids. I like to focus on organic strategies like hand picking or smushing, maybe neem oil. But the best way, I think, is just to attract beneficial insects to the garden with flowering plants. For diseases, good air circulation and proper watering practices go a long way. But if you have tomatoes and melons, I'm going to bet that they're coming to an end of their life. Now is a good time to be removing those spent plants from your garden. If they were disease-free, feel free to cut them at the base and either throw the plant material into your compost, or sometimes I'll even just throw it right back on the garden bed that it came from. Let it break down there. Now, let's get specific. While those general tasks we just talked about apply to everywhere in August, what you should be planting varies slightly depending on your zone. If you're in North Florida, August is really about shifting your focus towards fall prep. You'll also want to start looking at your calendar and planning for what your first cool season crops are going to be. Hard to believe with this heat right now. You'll want to plant those as soon as the weather breaks. Stay observant. Notice any slight dips in morning temperatures. That's going to signal fall is on its way. North Florida gardeners right now have the largest list of things that they can plant in August compared to other parts of the state. You can still get a final yield from already thriving heat-tolerant summer crops like your okras, your southern peas, cowpeas, and sweet potatoes. But your list of what you can start this month is much larger than that. Let's first talk about what you can directly sow into your garden at this time for North Florida. You can squeeze in another round of warm season veggies if you wish to grow beans, cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, and watermelon. You can directly sow those seeds into your garden in the month of August. You can also directly sow things like mustard, collards, and turnips into your garden as well. But for these, I would wait till you notice some of those cooler mornings. For your longer season fall crops, get seeds going under grow lights as transplants. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage are great choices in August. These veggies typically do better when grown as transplants because you can give them a head start and protect them from this intense August weather. Okay, Central Florida. Central Florida gardeners, August is a balancing act. You're likely seeing the last bits of harvests from any spring tomatoes and melons. It's about maintaining whatever production you still have while simultaneously getting ready for your big fall push. For planting in Central Florida this August, you have a fantastic window for heat lovers. Let's talk about what you can directly sow into your garden. Corn, beans, okra, bunching onions, peas, pumpkins, squash, and watermelon are all great, and you can directly sow those into the garden. Also, Malabar spinach and Ethiopian kale or other warm-loving leafy greens. For your longer season fall crops, August is great for starting tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants as transplants. Again, these do much, much better when you give them a head start as a transplant. South Florida. Down in South Florida, August means intense heat, high humidity, and the peak of our rainy season. You're likely seeing the last bits of harvest from any spring tomatoes and melons as well. Those might even be gone already. But for planting in South Florida this August, you're pretty much always in a perpetual summer, which means you have plenty of heat-tolerant options. Here's what you can directly sow into your garden. Cantaloupe, okra, southern peas, pumpkin, and watermelon. These are all going to handle intense August conditions. You can also directly sow a ton of heat-loving leafy greens, Malabar spinach, Ethiopian kale, perpetual charge, Egyptian spinach, if you'd like to do those as well. But for your primary fall garden, which will mature through our very mild winter, August is the time to start these longer season traditional crops as transplants like eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. These are going to be your main fall/winter producers and truly benefit from being started as transplants as well. Even with the right plants and consistent care, August sun, though, can be brutal. So let's talk about some general strategies to help your plants not just survive, but actually thrive through this peak month of August. First, consider shade cloth. This is a game changer for sensitive plants. A 30 to 50% shade cloth stretched over your more delicate crops like new seedlings, certain herbs you may still have growing, can significantly reduce heat stress and prevent scorching. It literally gives your plants a break from the most intense afternoon sun in August. If you're doing container gardening, be mindful that containers heat up much, much faster than in-ground or raised bed plants. You'll need to water them more frequently, sometimes twice or 3 times a day. Look for lighter colored pots. Those dark black pots definitely absorb more heat and could potentially cook your roots. With things like cantaloupe and squash and watermelon, we need to really pay close attention to the rain. While these young seedlings love to drink, me too, this also invites mildews and fungus to the table. As soon as you start to see a few sets of true leaves forming, I would suggest applying either a copper fungicide, a hydrogen peroxide and water mix, or even a milk and water mixture. These things help prevent mildews before they even pop up. For mildews and fungus, I found that it's much, much better to stop it before it even shows up. And finally, let's pay attention to your garden's location and sun exposure. In August, the sun is high and intense. One of the best things you can understand is how the sun moves across your yard. For instance, I have one bed in particular that is in full sun during the spring and summer months, but during the fall months, it only gets about 4 to 6 direct hours of sunlight because of how the sun moves. It ended up hiding behind a tree. If you're new to Florida gardening, I've actually built a hand-picked pack of vegetables that will grow great in our fall season here. It's a pack of 16 proven Florida varieties that I have grown, as well as many other Florida gardeners have grown very successfully here. If you're interested in growing some of these and supporting the channel, I'll put a link to that pack down in the description. You've now got the knowledge to truly make August a productive month in your Florida garden. And as you get ready to start those seeds for your August and early fall plantings, you want to make sure you're doing it the best way possible. That's why I think your next watch should be my video all about the best way that I have found to start seeds here in Florida. It's all about using soil blocks to grow super strong, resilient transplants that practically eliminate transplant shock. I'll put a link to that video down below. I'll probably put it around here somewhere as well. I really hope this helped you, and happy gardening, y'all.